I want to talk today about the instrument, and specifically, I want to talk about used instruments, the good, the bad, the ugly side of used instruments. Okay, anybody who's watched my videos, seen me play this bass. This is an old Japanese El Degas electric bass. It's all original. I haven't done anything to it. It's a made in Japan bass. It's got a, talk to an expert wood guy. He's pretty sure that that's ash, and that's certainly a maple neck, as everybody can see. And check out the it's got that. This is like what some people would say, like, oh, that's kind of like lawsuit stuff. Whatever. You can see it's all original. There's some interesting things. The way that the nut is on this is it's not slotted the way a typical Fender is, but whatever. So yeah, this is my instrument of choice. I mean, I've gravitated to this instrument. I should note, I have a small collection, maybe I don't know, a dozen basses that I play for different things. Some short scale basses, I've got an old Fender P bass. I've got, a couple jazz basses. I got a 5-string. I've got like an old Mustang, which is really cool. Some of them are just like collectible for me, but this is like this is a player's instrument right here. And so what I want to talk about is what to look for if you're in the used market. And I'm not selling this, by the way, so don't bother making offers. But I want to talk about what to watch out for when you're buying a used instrument. I've probably purchased like 50 basses over my lifetime of playing bass, which is probably, I'm embarrassed to admit, is like 30 years. And so let me tell you what you want to run from if you see this, okay? If you see a bass, here's the thing: if you can't adjust the truss rod, don't buy it. If somebody doesn't want to let you try to adjust the truss rod, don't buy it. If somebody tries to sell you a bass with no strings on it, be very suspicious. If you see, like, so here the truss rod cover is under this, okay? So yeah, it's a bit of an inconvenience, but I'm telling you, if you buy a bass and the truss rod is broken or cracked, it's firewood. I hate to tell you, it needs a new, and a cost of replacing a neck is it's like, you can spend more on a new neck than a perfectly good used bass. So that's the very first thing. Like, if you see those things, run, okay? The other thing that you're going to want to take a look at is, and I'm going to do my best to kind of give you an angle on how to do this, but look at the neck. I'm going to get the camera angle just right here, okay? But if you sight down the neck, I'm going to get close to my camera here, do my best anyways, you'll see that there's like a curvature in it. It's difficult to see because I can't get my camera in just the right position, but you want to look down the neck and make sure, that whatever it's doing, it should have a slight concave contour to it, okay? But what it should definitely not have is any bumps. If it's got waves in it, big dips, any kind of like waves, if it's got a long continuous bend, that's fine. Even if the bend is a little bit like convex, that can be adjusted if the nut is truss rod is still adjustable, okay? But you want to avoid anything that's got humps or waves in it. If it's got that, it's not going to be playable. It's not that that can't be fixed. It's just extraordinarily expensive to get somebody to pull the frets, to re-level the whole neck, and then refret it. Like, you're talking huge investment. It's just not worth it. So those are like the big ones. The third one I would say is look to see how much fret wear there is. And the way that you look at that is, you know, frets are crowned, meaning they're sort of like, they've got crown like the top of your head. They're round. Let's see if I can get in here, but you should be able, they should all look like they're round, like little speed bumps. They should all look like speed bumps. If they look like flattened off speed bumps, I would avoid it. I wouldn't buy it, okay? It just means they've been played too much and those frets will need to be replaced. Getting a new fret job on your neck is not a small expense. You could spend just as much. You could buy another bass. You buy another used bass for the cost it costs you to refret something and have it done professionally, okay? So there's that. Those are the deal breakers, in my opinion, okay? Like, if you see any of those things, those are deal breakers. You know, if the tuning pegs are like, you know, a little worn out, you know, that's not a huge expense to replace. If the nut is cracked or something like that, that's not a deal breaker either. That although can be expensive to replace, not as expensive. You know, you could probably get, you know, somebody in your hometown there to drop a new nut in for, you know, 60 bucks, especially if you're loving everything else about the bass, and you can leverage that to kind of like negotiate a better price. Nuts they're not that hard to replace. What else? As far as like scratchy sounding pots and stuff, like if you turn it on and it's scratchy, you know, like that's normal if a bass has been sitting around for a while. That stuff you can clean yourself with like, you know, some contact cleaner, or take it into a shop and get a setup. They'll usually like clean that stuff for you in doing like a setup. What else? I guess as far as like other things to avoid, if it looks like it's being repaired, you know, in like key areas, like let's say the neck pocket is like got big cracks in it and stuff. I mean, not that that's the end of the world, but that should give you a bit of like concern, like what happened, you know? And not that if it was repaired well, it means that it's like unusable. It's not that. It's just, I would be a little concerned about that. Yeah. So here's the thing. I'll end with on this is that what you get with an old instrument. This Eldegas, I don't know what the date is on it. I could probably try to find out and stuff. I know it's probably late 70s, maybe early 80s. I don't know. And I don't really care because I love the way this thing sounds and plays. It's all original. I haven't tuned this thing in like weeks. I play it every day. It's insane. It's just like rock solid, this thing. The thing about old instruments that a new instrument can never touch, okay? And I know I'm gonna get some flack from people on this. Old wood sounds different than new wood. And there's reasons, there's chemistry going on, the way that wood dries over time, the way it resonates, it comes alive the older it gets. And a new instrument, they just can't touch it. I'm sorry, it just can't. And you don't have to find an instrument from the 60s to get that. Like I've got some basses from like the 90s that are just they're a lot. The wood is like 30 years old now, and it sounds lively. It's got like a tack, you know. I think it has to do with, like, you know, the resins. You know, wood is filled with resins and saps and stuff, and you know, over time those things dry out and harden and crystallize, and it changes the resonance of the instrument. Yeah, so if you're, you know, I hope that this is helpful to some people. Oddly enough, just the last thing, the very first bass I ever picked up was an Aldegas maple neck that somebody had. I actually bought it off my brother. It was the first bass I had, and it's so funny, now it's what, 30 some odd years later, I'm playing an old Aldegas still. I love these. All right, stay cool.